let's move over on to topic 2. Let's switch it over to video games and let's talk a little bit about God of War Ragnarok. So as of recording right now, I've been doing my playthrough on Twitch, so you can, well, maybe you can't check out those VODs, but we're about 10 and a half hours into Ragnarok, and I kind of want to talk about my impressions of the game so far, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and just chat about this recent release. If you guys don't want any spoilers about God of War Ragnarok, this is obviously your time to leave. I wouldn't say anything I'm going to say is major, but I get it. Some people, like myself, just don't want anything to be spoiled and you want to go in totally fresh. So just want to give you that heads up so we're all fair and square. So, 10 and a half hours in to God of War Ragnarok right now, and I am heavily enjoying my time with it. And it could be one of those situations where like, oh, Bret, you're streaming it. You can't play it any time else. You can only play it on stream. So it's one of those things where it's like the thing you're told not to do something and then you want to do it even more, even if it wasn't a thought in your head previously. It's one of those where it's not the FOMO, but a similar feeling of, no, you can't do that thing. You can't play God of War anymore. You got to wait until stream, obviously, for the content stuff. So since finishing my last stream of it last week and having this hiatus of essentially 2 weeks before playing again, it's like, damn, just want to play more God of War because it's a great game. It's a lot of fun. Brings back essentially almost everything mechanically of God of War 2018, and just is adding layers on top of it. I will say, obviously, because they're adapting things, some of the combat is different. Some of the maneuvers either you unlocked in 2018 will not be unlocked now, or some maneuvers of the moveset of Kratos, whether it's the Leviathan Axe or the Blades of Chaos, will be different, which makes sense. But this game does feel like more of the same. And I don't mean that for that to sound bad. 2018 was an amazing game. It took Kratos, a character we knew from the PS2 era, with God of War 1, 2, 3, Ascension, I believe, on the Vita. I don't know, I never played that one. And, the Kratos character we knew of this giant rage monster of a man who had killed, obviously, the God of War, as well as the other gods in Olympus, to kind of assert his dominance and get revenge for unfortunate events that happened to his family. And in 2018, they took this character that we knew and they gave him a fucking personality. Obviously, he had the personality, I guess, of Rage Monster in the original ones, but it made him a character you cared about. He has his moments of growth, he has his ups, he has his downs, and obviously he has the relationships that he's trying to nurture. As we open with 2018 with his wife passing away, and now he is the sole provider for his son, Atreus. And as we can tell as the audience, their relationship, while established, probably not the best on all levels. It seems more of a mentor role than a nurturing, caring parent role. And in 2018, we kind of get this growth from Kratos to be like, okay, this is what my son needs, not just me barking orders at him and treating him like a soldier, treating him like a soldier or something of that nature. So going into Ragnarok, we are dealing with the events of 2018 and the fate of both Atreus as Loki, as he's referred to as his giant brethren, and obviously Kratos' realization of a prophecy that he is going to be killed. So far in the game, we are now exploring more about Atreus and more about Ragnarok and trying to figure out how we can not prevent it from happening, but make sure, I guess, we're on the right side of history, defeat Odin and his forces to move on and save the realms. And we need to find Tyr, the Norse god of war, in order to help us out, as the prophecies will show him leading the army to victory. Eventually, we do find him kind of locked away in mines in the dwarven realm of Svartalheim, and he's kind of not the person we need at the moment. Very chill dude, very cool, but he has sworn off of fighting, and that's not the person he is anymore. So he doesn't want to be told what to do via prophecy. He is in charge of his own fate, and that's kind of a problem for Atreus as well. Tears needed for this plan in order to work. So Atreus is dealing with a lot of stuff right now, and Kratos is kind of not dragged along, but is timid, I guess you could say, in the approach of chasing after these things. Obviously, he knows with his past of the negatives of war and the repercussions and outcomes, I guess you could say. While Atreus seems more focused on himself, not in a malicious way, but he wants to know more about his history, wants to know more about his mom, the giants, his magic abilities, things like that. So he's willing to do anything to kind of get this information, whether it's getting the intel from Tyr, having this whole prophecy kind of fully fledge out so he can find more information about himself, whatever it may be. And it's this battle, I guess, between the two forces in a different way, where Kratos is more of the waning force of like, you need to be careful with what we're trying to do here, while Atreus is just go, 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 go. And as we get revealed into this game, whatever the time gap is, I'm not 100% sure, that Atreus has even gone to do things on his own separate from Kratos to try and find out information for himself. Whether it is finding these secret prophecies the giants had hidden in like lore boards or story areas that we had discovered in the first game, to eventually going to talk to Freya to try and learn more about his magic abilities. And sometimes these actions get him in trouble, as things often do when you go off on your own with inexperience. And he's still kind of innocent in ways where, I'll use the Freya example, for instance, he just kind of spills the beans on everything. And I get it, he's trying to be honest and be upfront, but you got to be careful with who you're telling this stuff, especially from Freya's POV perspective. We killed her son Baldur in the last game, and she totally flipped 180, where now she's pissed at us and wants to kill Kratos. And Atreus telling her all this information about Ragnarok and Tyr and the things they're trying to do. Obviously, she could use that against them and use that to hurt Kratos. And he just, I don't know if he doesn't connect with that. And he's like, he does say it like, oh no, she's not going to kill me. Like, he doesn't pick up on the consequences of his actions sometimes. And it's kind of rough. So we're seeing him kind of grow into this more independent character compared to 2018's version, where obviously he was a little bit younger and didn't know much in terms of, he knew basics of hunting and tracking, but he couldn't fulfill, I guess, the roles of like somebody out by themselves in the wilderness. What happens if you run into a bear? How are you going to defend yourself? Or these other monsters and things like that, where he would learn that eventually from Kratos. And he's definitely more independent now in this game, as we see with his fighting style, whenever you get into engagements. But he's still learning. It's still a work in progress, where he kind of has to find this middle ground of, okay, I need things. How do I not say everything when I need these things? And being vulnerable in that sense. But it's interesting to see that growth and see that story told for Atreus as we go along. The point we left off in our stream playthrough, and I guess with Atreus, is he has gone on his own, kind of mistakenly once again, and he is now talking with a girl named Angrboda. Angrboda is another giant that's been hidden, and it seems like she has learned from her mother to kind of, I don't know if she's creating the prophecies or she's just transcribing them, but she is essentially the one who has been creating some of these paintings to foretell the things that are going to happen. Through meeting her, he's kind of picking up more intel, but he does learn, the prophecy that we, as the audience, through Kratos' perspective, learned about Kratos' fate of how he is going to die. Unfortunately, Atreus did not see this at the end of 2018, as he was very focused on fulfilling his mother's wishes of not burying her ashes, but spreading her ashes on the highest peak. So he was not present during that time. And I think also the prophecy was kind of hidden, as Kratos had to kind of discover it as he more looked into it, I guess. So he discovers that now, and he is now dealing with the fact that that is written. And seeing, obviously, his emotions flare from something where this prophecy was encouraging him to keep chasing, get this information, get more. And now to see the other side of the coin where, my dad is now in trouble with these prophecies. He's totally against it. And, apprehensive. The point we left off, he had a little bit of a rage spell, turned into a wolf. Angerboda has calmed him down, and now the two are trying to just move forward with some tasks to kind of refocus him. It's going to be interesting to see how this story continues to pan out. I'm very, very enticed by the storytelling they are sharing, whether it's obviously the adventures of Atreus that we've been taking, but even the stuff with Kratos, to see how he is going to accept his fate. We had seen in the trailers a line that we had not seen in the game where he mentions, death will take me when it earns me. I could be totally messing that up, but something along those lines. It's going to be interesting to explore how he's going to deal with this fate, and we kind of already see it a little bit where he's kind of taking advantage of the time that he has with his son and making sure he does everything he can for him before, unfortunately, shit hits the fan. And yeah, I'm curious to see what other steps maybe he has taken without the audience knowing. We do know from one venture with Atreus, as we first became his character and was able to control him fully, that Kratos had a conversation with Tyr privately. We do not know what that conversation was about yet, and I'm curious to know what that was, whether it was just a game plan later when the three went to Venture to try and find more information at Alfheim, or if it's some kind of, not contingency plan, that sounds a little bit weird, but some way to protect Atreus later on through Tyr when Kratos is gone. We'll have to see. And I guess that's one of those things that's makes the story, another layer that makes the story intriguing, is the things that we as the audience don't know, those moving pieces we don't see. So yeah, we'll have to see. Are there any negatives to the game? Not that I've particularly run into. I know a lot of people have been like, oh, it's just a PS4 game, which I kind of a mixed bag about. Yeah, it controls very similar to 2018, but it looks phenomenal. I don't know what they particularly wanted from this game. Granted, this one was developed both for PS4 and PlayStation 5, so I guess if they just wanted a straight up PlayStation 5 experience, I don't know what they were expecting out of that, and maybe that's just my tiny brain of I can't think of what mechanics would be different. What do you want? Do you want the DualShock to move a little bit different in your hand, or all the hype for well, not all the hype, but some of the hype for Returnal? I could feel the raindrops in my hand, which you definitely can. Was it just that? Did you want it even more graphically impressive? Which, if that's the case, I don't see what you're missing in this. This looks great. It does look way better. Well, not way better, but it does look cleaner and fresher than 2018's experience, and that's coming from me who's been playing on the same TV for 10 years. Oh my god, this does look better. I'm not sure what they're expecting from this. Enemies are interesting. A lot more variety so far in my beginning playthrough. But one thing I will say with combat that's nice, that's a positive, is the different types of things that you can do or you have to do and be wary of. 2018, while difficult at times, pretty basic once you get down to the thick of it. You could parry, but you didn't have to. You just hack and slash everything. This game seems a little bit more reliant on using your shield and parrying, as well as breaking up defenses that some enemies have put on, whether it's doing a shield bash, whatever it may be, to kind of interrupt that. And it's fun. I haven't used the Blades of Chaos a ton. They are fun to use, but I still find myself going towards the Leviathan Axe way more often than none. So we'll have to see if I can kind of weave the Chaos Blades, the Blades of Chaos a little bit more into my combat and into my playstyle. But we'll see. Curious to see what else weaponry-wise, if anything weaponry-wise, we do unlock with both these characters as Kratos and Atreus. Atreus obviously has gotten some new arrows from at least my playthrough of the Sonic arrows. I'll be excited to see what else he can do, as we unlocked in the last game. We had the Alfheim light arrows, and then I believe we also had some magical arrows where we could summon wolves of different elements. So time will tell there. But very excited to hop more into Ragnarok and see where the story goes from here. It has been confirmed that this is only a 2-game, run. So, as the conclusion of this story, very intrigued, especially to the fate of our boy Kratos. Is the prophecy going to come true? Are we going to kind of tinker with it and adjust it so something different happens? And if it does happen differently, what does that affect? Thor has been entertaining to fight against, and it was a gruesome first fight or boss fight, similar to the Baldur fight in 2018. So excited to battle him more. I wonder if we're going to fight Odin or if he will just be an antagonist from the mountaintops. What's the follow-up with Freya, as we've only seen her once? Seems like she still can't leave Midgard, so she can't hunt us down super duper well. And then what happens in terms of the Valkyries? Are we going to have some kind of equivalent boss fight to the Valkyries in this game? We have run into the Draugr pits, which, granted, a little bit of challenge, but I wouldn't say as much of a challenge as the Valkyries, where you could die quite a few times. I have only had maybe 3 to 5 deaths on a certain Draugr so far. So curious to see if they do have a parallel component from 2018 onto Ragnarok in terms of gameplay for that, or if they just did not have that mechanic added or something like that. Have seen some people, some friends finishing the game and loving it. I do not know their full game times. Obviously with stream, it's always going to be a little bit weird because things go a little bit slower with interacting and whatnot. So I'm curious to see how long this game is. I know reviewers obviously were blasting through it, but that is kind of their thing. So yeah, excited to play more of it. Excited to see how the story plays out, see where this adventure takes us. And yeah, very excited and intrigued to see the ending and how it stacks up, I guess, into the reveal of 2018 and then just the conclusion overall with these characters in this story. And I guess if we want to get real juicy, let's see where it ends up on the Game of the Year discussion against the mighty Titan of Elden Ring, along with some other very strong contenders, at least in terms of the Game Awards. But guys, this has been another episode of the Wait What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011. Appreciate you guys watching and giving this a listen today. If you guys want to catch the show live, you can always go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011. Drop us a follow over there. We go live with the podcast usually every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can join the chat like Pi and Papa Griff did today and join all the fun. But if you can't catch live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, #ad, merch store. Get all your swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand. Support us, and we would love you for it. Any way you can support really does help us out, whether it's big or small. Liking, sharing, leaving a review, comment, whatever it may be. Let us know what you think of the show, and it'd be great. And I did say last but not least, but really, really last but not least, if you are listening to the show when it drops in full on Friday, tomorrow, November 26th, that's a Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern is Extra Life for this year. We are doing 24 hours of gaming, raising money for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. Any way you can support and help us out would be awesome, whether it's donating, watching, spreading the word, whatever it may be. Please, please, please help us out with that. We do have some fun giveaways that will be revealed on that day. So hopefully you can win some stuff, share some laughs with us. We got a wide variety of games that we will be playing, and some games that you will be playing or have the ability to play along with us as well. But that is it for me today. Once again, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for giving this a listen, and we will see you guys on the next one. Take care.